So just for people who aren't too familiar with the modern pentathlon, can you give us an insight into how it works and what's involved?
Yeah, it's five sports in one. And so a normal competition would be you'd start with a 200-meter swim. And then fencing, you would fence everyone in the competition. So say there's 36 people in a final. You do like a one-hit match. So the first person to get a hit wins, and you do that against everyone in the competition. And then you go on to do show jumping, which is you have to get up on a horse. You have 20 minutes to warm them up and kind of get to know them. Then you have to go in and do a round of show jumping, and then the running and shooting are combined as the last event. So you kind of run into the shooting range and you shoot. You have to get like 5 green lights, and then you run around. You do 800 meters, and you do that 4 times.
Just that simple.
Yeah.
It sounds very physically grueling. Like, is there a big mental aspect to it too, or
yeah, for sure. So like it is like you said, like it's an endurance sport and it's quite physically hard, but also mentally, just because the day is quite long, and even the sports involved in it, particularly fencing and shooting and horse riding, they like require a lot of kind of mental strength and focus.
Yeah. And even just the 5 sports, but how did you get into pentathlons in the first place?
I got into it through the pony club. So when I was younger, my brothers and sisters were in the pony club, and so I just joined as well. And they have a sport where you do running, swimming, shooting, and horse riding. And so I was doing that as a kid anyway. And then when I heard about the extra sport and that it was an Olympic sport, I was really keen to do that. So
and combine them all. And then the fencing, I don't think you mentioned that just there. Is that kind of neglected in Ireland, or would you say that?
It's definitely not a very big sport in Ireland. Like there are some clubs and there's university clubs and stuff, but it's one of the sports that's less common and less popular in Ireland.
Yeah, would you like? Is your training schedule very heavy then? Like I'd say it's to keep up with them all. Do you find yourself having to focus on one as opposed to others?
Well, like it's nice to have the variety in the training, but I kind of challenging to go from like yesterday I was in the gym in the morning and then I had a run in the afternoon, and I had to kind of change out of my running gear and put on my riding gear and drive across to do my riding lesson. And so like, yeah, all the sports are quite different, so it's a challenge, but it's also kind of a nice balance to be doing like different things within the day rather than just the same thing over and over.
Yeah, it sounds very tiring, but it's very impressive. Like Jesus, I can't imagine it at all. So does your training schedule kind of differ during lockdown as opposed to before all this COVID?
Well, this second lockdown is kind of a lot easier because thankfully elite athletes have been able to kind of continue training. Yeah. So I'm really lucky that my training hasn't been hampered with the level 5 lockdown. So I can still get all my normal training. I get my time in the pool. I can get my runs done. I can have fencing lessons with my coach and shooting, and I can go get my horse riding lessons as well.
Yeah, and do you still train with your competitive training partners, or not so much?
So we train as a squad, and so we're all able to train together because we're elite athletes. We're all kind of able to train together, which is good.
Yeah, I'd say that makes a big difference from the last lockdown. Like the competitive aspect of the training must be very helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And even just for like the mental side of it, having someone beside you and someone to talk to is nicer than kind of doing all the work on your own.
Yeah, I'd say so. So Natalia Coyle, I'd say, is one of them training partners. She finished 6th in Rio. What's it like to have a training partner as both a competitor, a colleague, and a friend, I suppose?
Yeah, no, it's great. Like we've trained a lot together. And we've spent a lot of time together on camps and competitions and stuff. So we're kind of like we're old friends at this stage. But it's great. She's qualified for Tokyo, obviously, and there's another spot up for grabs if I can get that. So it'd be lovely to have a kind of a full team of Irish women competing in Tokyo.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something we'd all like to see. So obviously that's a massive goal for yourself, but you've a few competitions to pass up first, the 3 World Cups in March and April respectively, and then the final and the World Championships in June.
Yeah.
2021 looks a very busy year for Sive Brassil.
Yeah,
But,
it'll be very chock-a-block once the competitions start. But no, it's good. So I got my first kind of 2 competitions towards Olympic qualification. I got one of them done in at the end of 2019, and then I had the first World Cup last February, and so they both went pretty well, and I'm kind of looking to improve on those results a little bit to stay inside the Olympic ranking, and hopefully then at the end of those 5 competitions I'll have sealed the deal.
yeah, and it seems quite a like complicated process to qualify. Could you explain to us a bit about that, please?
Yeah, well, I'll be looking to qualify through world ranking, and so it's all to do with kind of my accumulated results. It's my best 3 results over kind of the previous 2 and the next 5 that you mentioned. So, and then within that, like the Olympic ranking will have some people ranked that have actually gotten automatic spots. So
Yeah.
even though they're in the ranking, they'll be taken out of it because they've already gotten a qualification spot. And then also it's two people per nation can go. So if there's 3 or 4 from one country that are ahead of you, you go ahead of the two that can't go. So it is quite complicated, but it's kind of a all I can do is just like do my best and get in some good performances, and then at the end when they close the qualification period, you'll see where everyone's ranking is, and it'll just be my job to do enough to be within the ranking.
Yeah, and do you feel you're on track for that at the minute? Is training going well?
Yeah, training's going really well. I think like I was feeling good about qualifying, like kind of continuing on as I was going and qualifying last year, but obviously that didn't work out. But I think the extra time has only kind of benefited me because I've just had more time to work on my technical events and to build my fitness. So it's good.
Yeah, time to kind of hone in on the skills, I suppose. You kind of touched on it there that the modern pentathletes in Ireland are at a kind of high level at the minute. Do you think that kind of pushes yourself on more? Or
Yeah, definitely. I think like obviously first things first, I want to get qualified and get my ticket to the Olympics. But my goal, like if I get to qualify, if I qualify and get to go, I'll be all eyes on the podium. So yeah.
So taking it all the way back then, I believe Paul O'Connell was your sporting hero when you were younger. Is that true?
He was definitely one of them, yeah. I also, I was a big Sonia O'Sullivan fan and a huge Fionnuala McCormick fan as well. But yeah, definitely a couple of signed jerseys from the man himself.
Very good. So yeah, you said there about Sonia O'Sullivan and there was female sporting athletes like role models. Being on the kind of other side of that now, how does it feel to be someone that these kids would look up to? I know with the 2020 campaign, the Can't See, Can't Be, it's all about seeing these role models and having someone to aspire to. What does that feel like?
Well, that's the great thing about the Dare to Believe program. I find when I go into the schools, like I'm there to inspire them and tell them my story, but I come away kind of feeling inspired from like just talking to them, because even for instance, one of the schools that I visited in Louth a couple of weeks ago, I came home from training the other day to find a bunch of cards in the post from all the kids, and they'd shown me all their Olympic sized dreams, whether it was sport or any other kind of dream that they had, and they all like had written me cards and stuff as well, and I was like, oh my god, this is like full circle. You're me writing to Paul O'Connell as a kid, and now I'm getting little letters. So yeah, it's really lovely.
Yeah, what advice with the Dare to Believe Olympic program, and what, like, I understand that that's a very important movement and it must be of a great importance to you. What does it mean to you to participate in such a program?
Yeah, I love it. It's such a great opportunity for me because for one thing, it's really nice to share my story through sport with the students and to kind of share my Olympic dream and get them thinking about their dreams and get them thinking about goal setting.
Yeah.
It's also like it's hugely important for me because it gives me something outside of my day-to-day sport and training. It gives me something to do, and like I can work on my skills in public speaking and like working with kids and stuff. So it's really nice.
Yeah, at her sport, a lot of the goal is to do with providing women in sport a platform to be able to get themselves coverage, to, you know, give a role model to younger women. What advice would you give to, let's say, girls coming up through the ranks? You know, the dropout rate is very high among young women. How,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd honestly just encourage people, like, and girls and women particularly, to not give it up if it's something that they love. That's something I talk about a lot in my school visits with the students, is to find something that you love, something that you're passionate about, and to really just work hard at it and to keep it up. Because I think people, girls tend to, the focus switches from sport and kind of play and stuff like that to study and exams, whereas for the boys in school the emphasis stays on sport with them as well. They can do both, and I just think it's really important that girls know that they can do both and they can do anything they want as well. And I honestly as well, I think that sport like teaches you so much for anything that you want to go on and do in life. So I would encourage people to stay doing it as long as possible and never stop.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
I think that's all my questions for today, Sive. Thanks so much
Okay.
for coming on today.
Thanks very much, Alana.
Good luck in all your future competitions.
Thank
We
you.
hope to see you in Tokyo in 2021.
Yeah, fingers crossed.